Hi, everyone. This is Adam Benzion. I'm the co-founder of Hackster.io, and I'm very happy to be here in the Virtual Things Conference. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in from all over the world. And like everybody else, I want to wish everyone, a healthy time throughout this tough period that we're all experiencing. And I hope that you're all well, as your loved ones. So today, I will talk to you guys a little bit about COVID-19, the coronavirus, a project that we're working on, and how can we harness LoRaWAN, narrowband, and all your expertise to actually help some of the weaker communities around the world to tackle this pandemic as it lands on them. So I'll share my screen with you guys, and you get to see the things I talk about as I present. I present to you. My talk today. All right, stay home. I am staying home. Cool. So let me read you something that I read in the New York Times just this week. And this is really speaking to the plight of some of the nations and the communities around the world that are actually feeling only right now the impact of COVID-19 as it actually descends on them. For a sense of the scale of the plight of some of the developing nations, consider one of the most critical pieces of medical equipment used in treatment, the ventilator. The United States has some 160,000 ventilators. According to one estimate, Sierra Leone has only 13, South Sudan has 4, and the Central African Republic has 3. So just to put this in perspective, as you all know, the US has now most cases of the coronavirus, has significant shortages in equipment and staff in our hospitals. I am calling from the US, by the way, from Seattle, Washington. So you can only imagine what's going to happen when this actually hits communities that live in closer proximity, do not have the resources and the right medical equipment to treat patients. It's going to be pretty tough. So I want to share with you some of the things that we're working on right now at Hackster.io, and how can you help if you'd like to, if you wish to join us, in particularly with the LoRaWAN narrowband experience that you all have. So Hackster have partnered with the United Nations Development Program, the UNDP, and we created a global challenge. The challenge is called the COVID-19 Detect and Protect challenge, and you can see actually right here below, there's a dedicated website for it, COVID-19 detectprotect.org, that you can go and visit and learn a little bit more. But what are we trying to do here, and why you are such an important part of this equation? We're actually really lucky that we have a bunch of really interesting and powerful partners that have joined us. One of them is the Things Industries that clearly runs this amazing event and other events that a bunch of us have participated in, as well as a mothership, Avnet, that owns Hackster, Arduino, Adafruit, ARM, Amazon Web Services, NVIDIA, NXP, Nordic, Microsoft, Edge Impulse, that's speaking in this event today, Soracom, Google, Singapore Innovate, and Balena. These are the companies that just jumped on the opportunity to help and support and provide with resources to help people like yourselves and us to actually make this contest a reality. I'm going to escape my screen really fast. And what I want to show you is a little bit of, again, about the contest. So the challenge is, again, it's a United Nations sponsored challenge. The idea is to create technologies that help us detect and protect only, not therapeutics, not treatments, of people in the developing world only that will suffer tremendous challenges, economic as well as, of course, well-being of the citizenry as the pandemic hits their population. And if you go right here to the actual contest page, you can actually read a little bit more. And we just launched it yesterday, so it's very fresh. There's almost 500 people that have joined. You can read a little bit more on what are we asking people to build, really basic solutions that can be replicated or used really easily in the developing world. You don't have to use any particular technology. It could be anything as simple as duct tape, but clearly we want things that are very useful, that are they have broad reach. And again, this is why I really want to talk to you guys about some of the things that I've identified personally in LoRaWAN technologies that can be deployed here in remote and often impoverished communities. We are offering a bunch of prizes. As of today, we're offering some cash prizes and drones and all sorts of fun stuff, including a major recognition from the United Nations as an Innovator Award. And a little secret that by tomorrow we're adding a lot more prizes to this contest, even though we want to emphasize that this is not just about the prizes, as you all know. This is really about helping and bringing your knowledge into the table here. But we do want to reward everybody who's going to contribute. So visit that website again that I've shared earlier, and I'll share it again later on by tomorrow, and you'll see that we're going to add a lot more to it as far as hardware prizes, credits for AWS for those who want to build apps, etc. So let's talk about COVID-19 and what can we build in the context of technology, and how can people with LoRaWAN expertise can actually help. We've created a special topic on the Hackster IO pages for COVID-19 that can actually track different innovations that people are building, including detection, protection, touchless systems that allow you to actually reduce contamination, etc. I'll give you, for example, one of my favorite examples here on Hackster is this disinfection and sanitation tunnel. It's very practical, but it really says that some people have essential jobs like policing and healthcare workers that need to go to work regardless of the pandemic. And simply by offering them some sort of a sanitary and sanitation disinfection station as they walk in and out from work, that in itself can actually create a lot of good in the world and help people, contain the spread of this disease. So this project is really cool, super interesting. It's called the Smart Disinfection and Sanitation Tunnel. You can see it has all the components, everything people need to build, and that's what we're looking for, something that anybody in the world can take and replicate. And effectively, it creates this system that you can walk into this tunnel. There's a vapor that actually covers your body with a disinfectant solution, and it actually helps you stay a little cleaner, definitely reduce some infections. It's not 100% effective, clearly, but it definitely helps. Food markets, offices, shopping malls, airports, bus stops, railway stations, and police stations. And imagine again, think developing world, places that are a bit more crowded, the places that don't have the luxury or have a lot of space, etc. So this is how it works. For example, they show you exactly how the pump actually create the vapors in the tunnel, actually even what kind of solution to use. It's a sodium hypochlorite, and exactly how to mix it up, how to create the solution based on the Raspberry Pi, and the CAD files for the actual structure, including the water tank and the vapor valves and everything else, the fogger rather. So these are the things that we're looking for. Now, if we really kind of dig in and thinking particularly about LoRaWAN, so we're talking about, when I was talking to my friends at the UN and I was asking them, what are we talking about here? Give me an example of a community. They actually Googled with me different types of communities in Africa. And I don't like to say Africa, which is always like a sort of a poster child for poverty, because it's absolutely not. Africa is not a poster child for poverty, it's a poster child for progress. But it is a fact that there are remote communities in Africa that do have very simple, basic healthcare facilities. There are remote, they don't have a lot of, they don't have a network infrastructure. And this is where LoRaWAN becomes super interesting, because a big part of fighting this pandemic is information of how to actually, social distance correctly, understanding heat maps and where things are happening in a big way or not, where to get tested in the future, also where to get vaccines. And all of that will depend really on information and how we actually disseminate it. And thinking through LoRaWAN networks that will help anybody in these locations, with low cost and clearly narrow bandwidth, to create local networks that allow even the most remote communities that might be completely forgotten and left alone to get the information they need, even through a single person that is a community leader. That's going to be really, really critical. So for example, I even look at this particular LoRaWAN network using the Things network, and if you think about creating, some sort of a virtual environment like this that can be disseminated and placed, nodes can be placed through very simple gateways in remote communities, that in itself can create something so specific and so helpful. You can imagine creating an application that maybe notifies people of help or a new behavioral pattern that was discovered to help people either with treatments or with prevention. And then, the application, goes to the application server, to the network server, through the gateway, and eventually it goes to the edge device, to the end services, which could be a notification node, it could be a phone, it could be all sorts of ways to communicating. So this is where LoRaWAN is extremely interesting and extremely useful as we think through solutions for this pandemic in the developing world and remote communities. Another thing is very similarly, if you think about smart cities, even though smart cities, this is always spoken of in the context of a modern, Western, wealthy sort of city that has lots of automation, etc. But think about it in the context of a place that actually does not have resources and is disparate and does not have persistent Wi-Fi or LTE, or in some new cases 4 and 5G soon. So also thinking through GPS system positioning and how LoRaWAN nodes can actually keep citizens aware, again, understanding where to get help or communicating with other communities that are assisting them in combating this pandemic. Extremely useful and extremely relevant to what the world needs right now. So again, if you have an expertise in this LoRaWAN shields and really understanding, how to build something that can simply help people pass through information from one place to another at a low cost, low bandwidth, and pretty in simplicity, we'd love to hear it, because we believe that these are the things that are going to get deployed and help people in these areas. I picked a couple of more that I really liked. In other words, environmental sensing, very similar again. Typically LoRaWAN is really used in agricultural technologies, etc. Let's think about it also in the context of humanity, in sensing temperature sensors and all sorts of other environmental sensors that might trigger possibly hot zones whereby there's lots of human traffic, that you can see maybe fevers are increasing in an abnormal way that should be alerted and should be handled. So thinking about environmental sensing in the context of LoRaWAN, also very, very interesting, can be deployed in a very intelligent way in doing things that could really help and save lives. So the last thing that I want to share is, again, the GPS mapper for the Things network, again, being powered by LoRaWAN. So again, using very simple products, Adafruit's Feather Huzzah, for example, the Adafruit GPS wing, and the Adafruit LoRa wing, to build pretty easy, inexpensive, affordable, and affordability is actually a big thing here. Can we build things that are affordable, that anybody, even in a developing world, can afford acquiring and building? That is really, really interesting and important, because we can then take all this knowledge that will be aggregated in the context we're trying to build, and will be transferred into these developing countries and into different types of innovation centers. And I like this project in particular because it also includes nice CAD files, etc. So easily replicable. So with that, I really kind of want to come to almost a closing and really talk about the fact that I love everything that the Think conference does and stands for. I was in the event in Amsterdam earlier this year, and I think that this community has so much information and knowledge and the ability to help and support that it will be absolutely incredible to see some of you participate in this challenge, see what you guys have to contribute, and also learn from you if you have any ideas of how to make this better. This is actually the website right here. I think you see it. And this is, the final slide. The time for global collaboration is now. Reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm Adam@hackster.io. Thank you. I wish you all stay healthy, do good in the world, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Bye.